Hey, morning twin, how are you? How is everyone doing today? Sorry, I was just making sure that I'm editing this to make sure that it shows on my page and kind of like everywhere else. Hi Christine, how are you? Oh, thank you. Thank you all for your lovely messages and everything else. It just made it a lot easier to be able to come on here. I'm also going to be going live on Instagram, so I'll be looking at this screen and this screen just to make sure I engage with everyone and just checking connection. You're now live. Okay. It's the first time I'm live on Instagram, so I hope it works. Great. You good? Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I am so ready to come up today and share like so much stuff. I've got so much to go through. And I want to be here only for 1 hour. So pray for me, guys. Pray for me. Please share the broadcast. I'm just trying to make sure that I share it. Share the broadcast before I start, um, so that as many people can see this and kind of like um, be blessed. You know what I mean? It feels so weird being here on my own. It's just like, wow, I'm so used to having people on their hot seat. And today it's me. Just let me know if you can hear me clear before I start. Um, Let me know if you can hear me well. Can you see me okay? I was having issues with my camera earlier on. That's why I was a bit late. I almost just came with audio, but I just, kept on kicking this thing on to make sure that Christine, you're nervous. Oh my gosh, you're nervous for me. Well, I already did say to you guys that, expect tears. So I'm good. Like my makeup's gonna be all over the place. Um, Thank you. It's clear. Cool. It's clear so far. Great. Yeah. So I'll go through protocol today because I'm on my own. So I've got like no control. You know me, I can waffle on. So I'm gonna start sharing bits and pieces of my story that more so relate to kind of like what I went through. But I would like for you guys to kind of like ask me questions as I go through so that at the end of it, I don't have to keep on trying to go through the comments to kind of like answer people's questions and stuff, just to make it easier for both of us so that when the hour is done, I can kind of like just get out of here. And yeah. So before we start, y'all pray for me. Did you guys pray for me? I hope you did before I start. I really hope you've prayed for me. I really hope so. Okay, so I'm clear. All right, cool. So some of you would probably know my story already because I speak about it a lot with most of you when I share. And I mean, I've been doing Her Story Matters for the longest time, so most of you probably know kind of like my bits and pieces of my story, but I've got like loads of paper just to keep me on track, right? So yeah, I'm going to start with about myself, like where I was born, and yeah, and then we'll kind of like take it from there. So I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, beautiful sunny place. Born into a very beautiful family. I would not have it otherwise. Had their most amazing kind of like life. I had the most amazing upbringing and all of that. I had really great time, great family, big family. It was six of us. My brother passed away 17 years ago. So born in May. So yes, I'm a bull. Yeah. For those of you who know me, I'm quite stubborn. Um, Screen is a bit blurry. Okay, let me see if it's to do with the outage. Could be the outage. Let me see. Sorry, guys. Just trying to see. How about now? Is it better? Kind of like just let me know if it's a bit better before I start. Hi, Salome. Thank you so much. Oh, she's put a love heart on it. Screen just became blurry. Okay, that's really weird. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see what could be the problem. Everything is good. How about now? So I can see it clearly. I don't know. Let me just see what you guys are saying. Want to be here only for 1 hour. So much. Oh, she's. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Is it still blurry at the moment? Okay, so I should stay still, right? Okay. Can you see me okay? I'm waiting for you guys. Let me know. Let me know. Okay, I'll keep talking just in case. If it's not good, then I'll probably have to come off and come in again. Can you see me clearly now? Okay, cool. Perfect. Let me come off that so it doesn't interfere. So yes, as I was saying, I was born in Nairobi in Kenya, and born into an amazing family. There were six of us, so that was a big home. There was four girls, two boys, and had the most amazing upbringing. My dad left when I was quite young. I think I was about 10, maybe. I think I was about 10 when my dad left. But because I grew up in a big family and there was loads of men around me who were kind of like father figures, so I had lots of cousins who were male cousins, and I had my two brothers. So I didn't really feel it, right? And they kind of like stepped in as well, being the big brother, making sure you're okay and everything, protective. So my upbringing was amazing. My first boyfriend was just the bomb. I mean, if he was still alive, I'd probably be related to Christian Yambura on the screen right now. But he passed away, and it was really good experience for me. So I came to London when let me just make sure I haven't skipped anything. So my influences was my mom. I grew up with my mom, and my mom is my strength, right? So I grew up with my mom. My mom was very entrepreneurial. She was very hardworking. She was really, really good in the sense that how she brought us up, there was so much love in the home. She was strict, but there was a lot of love. You didn't doubt that she loved you. It was beautiful for me. It was beautiful growing up. So my early influences was my mom. I saw her accomplish so much, and I saw her strength, and we drew so much from that growing up. So when I came to London in my teens. I was still a teenager when I came here, and um, yeah, I'm still related to you. Yeah, like literally. So when I came to London, it was kind of like a shock for me because we always have this assumption that women in developing countries are mistreated more, and women in the Western world have an amazing life and have so much freedom and all of that. They still have amazing lives. They still have so much freedom compared to developing countries, but the inequality is there and the abuse is there and all of that stuff, as you've seen with the Me Too movement and everything else. Um, Hi. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. So there was all of that growing up, literally, right? And it was very interesting when I came here. I went to study and I saw all of these things around me, and I was this really bold, sassy, outgoing woman, and that was it, and I didn't know any different. So I started, obviously, as a young person. I wasn't born righteous, right? I was like, okay, we're all righteous. Let me just say that. Let me just backtrack, right? And I was that kind of girl that was very outgoing. Growing up, I was very rebellious, or I was seen to be very rebellious because I had a mind of my own. So other people view it very differently, but I was considered very rebellious. I was that girl who stole her mom's car to go out. Um, I was that girl who would party all night and sneak in home in the wee hours of the morning or the next day during the day when my mom's not in the house. So I've always been like very outgoing, very inquisitive, very curious. I'm the sort of person who I love finding out stuff for myself, right? So that's kind of like the person I was. And I've always been this kind of like very strong person, very open minded. Came to London anyway. Years later, I started, you have so many friends and everything that you hang out with. And I had amazing friends growing, I had amazing relationships back home. And that also happened when I first came to London. And I remember we used to go out in this group, and my friend kind of introduced me to this guy. I didn't like this guy because, it's not that I didn't like him. He was all right. Like he's, the kind of guy that every woman wants to go out with. And he was, really tall, 6'2". He used to play basketball. All the girls literally wanted to go out with him. I didn't, because I've always been very intuitive with people. So I didn't like him like that. Anyway, so he kept on, every time we would all meet up, he would always be like, why don't you want to go out with me? And, it was getting really awkward. So one day I decided, okay, fine, we'll go out and get this out of the way. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's ever done this. Sometimes you go out with someone just to make sure you tell them, look, I'm not interested in you. And I did go out with him. So we went out dancing. I don't know if you guys know bar salsa. Anyone who lives in London, there's a time bar salsa was the place to go. It was this fun place. You have salsa, and then it closes at midnight. Was it midnight or around 1 or 2? And then, so we went out and we danced. I had a great time, and it was time to go home, right? So, when if you've never gone out, this is what happens. So when they're about to close the bar, they make this announcement like, okay, we're going to close the bar so you can come get your last set of drinks, whatever. And then he asked me if I wanted a drink. I was like, oh, I'm not too fast, but okay, I can get a drink. So he went to get the drink and had the drink and whatever. And then the only thing I literally remember, guys, is like being in the house. So being in his house, right? This was after having the drink. He must have spiked the drink. No, he spiked the drink, obviously. So the only thing I remember is being in his house, and he wanted to have sex with me, and I refused. I said, I'm not interested. And at that time, I'm feeling okay. I'm really groggy. I'm really groggy. I'm kind of like very foggy. My mind is very foggy, and I'm wondering, how did I get here, right? Anyway, he's a big guy. And at that time, I was like really tiny. I don't know, whoever knew me like a while ago knows that I think I was a really size 8, size 6, size 8. So I was really tiny. And so he pushed me and he raped me. So literally, my face was on the pillow, so I couldn't really scream. And at that time, I was freaking out because I was thinking, okay, I'm probably going to die here because I couldn't breathe. Anyway, so I had to go through the whole ordeal. And at that time, the whole time I'm thinking, okay, I can't breathe. I need to survive this, right? And when he finished, he rolled over because he was drunk and he fell asleep. So this is me. I called my friend and I was like, okay, this is what's happened to me. My friend was like, okay, get out of the place. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I need to go and report this because obviously I'm thinking, it was not consensual for me. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna go and let the police know about this because I'm thinking, okay, this is, I'm thinking I'm in London, I should be able to do this. So I call my friend. My friend is like, I'm speaking to my friend. She's like, okay, get your stuff and get out. I'm gonna come and pick you up. So went to the closest station, literally left the house, walked to the closest station. So I'm speaking to my friend, and then I'm like, okay, I want to go to the police. And she said to me, you can't go to the police because they won't believe you. So, sorry guys. Okay, gathered myself. So she says, they won't believe you. So I'm thinking, what the hell? What do you mean they won't believe me? Then she starts telling me about what women go through when they go to kind of like report what happened, like kind of like if you report something like this, like if you've been raped, if you report this. And I'm thinking, okay, she was born here, I wasn't. And I'm like, okay, this is messed up, right? So trying to get, I didn't even prepare myself. I've got no tissue around here. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So she comes, she picks me up. I didn't go and report it. So I'm like, okay, so I have to figure out how to kind of like live with this. And it was really, really weird, I must say. It was really weird having to kind of like live through that, because the best way I can explain it for me, and I say everyone's experience is different. And for me, the best way I can say it is, it's like for you to be able to kind of like understand the violation is, think about, your home. You have your beautiful home. You look after your home. You love your home, and it's a place that you feel safe, right? It's your home. And at the end of the day, every single day, when you've had a long day at work, when you're done, you go at home, isn't it? And so, gosh, why am I getting emotional? I've told this story so many times. Anyway, so what happened was, so think about it, is like you have this home, and then one day someone breaks into your house, steals your valuables, right? Trashes the house. And on their way out, they switch off the light. So literally, that's how I kind of like felt, right? Thank you, Floris. Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's literally how I felt. And for years after that, it was like it was really bad. Um, I'm just gonna let the tears fall. Sorry, guys. So it was really bad in the sense that because you haven't got closure, you kind of like blame yourself. You kind of like go through depression, and because like the analogy I explained, like you feel like your house has been violated. Basically, what happens is, if someone breaks into your house, what are you going to do? The next day, you're going to make sure you've got the strongest reinforcements for your door, right? You're going to make sure your windows are reinforced, right? You're going to make sure that you have a wall so high that no one can breach that wall, right? Basically, you're going to do that because it's your house. You want to feel secure when you're in your house. And that's literally how it felt afterwards. So I had to secure my house. And it was really it was really crazy, because you become so you become this person who doesn't trust people. So I didn't trust people. I didn't trust if no matter how well meaning they were, you just don't trust these people because you don't trust yourself. basically. And because you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your decisions, and what happens is you can't make decisions, right? You're always in this place of indecision. um, Even when something good comes your way, you won't recognize it because all you see is kind of like danger, right? Anyway, so that's how it was for years for me. And the depression was kind of like, it was insane. There was, you people around me didn't know, right? And when people go through depression, it's kind of like you become a very, very good actor, right? People with depression are really good actors. And this is why people would say, oh, I didn't even know he was depressed and he committed suicide. It's because you become a really good actor, right? You become this person who is really bubbly, extra outgoing, but you don't let anyone in. So you'll find when you're with people and you fear being alone, because then you have the thoughts. And what happens is, because when you have such trauma, what happens to you is you push it down so bad. You push it all the way down, and because you haven't addressed it, other issues, when you're violated, let me explain this properly. When you're violated, what happens is, you don't deal with the whole issue because you haven't had a place to process it, right? You've not been able to talk about it, so you can't process it. And what happens is, because you can't process it, it it is something that stays within you, and you feel like you can't fight for yourself. So in my case, what happened was, I had depression, and I had so much anger, and I was really frustrated with everything. So if something did something small, I would kind of like really, lash out, and it's something really small. And you become very defensive because you want to make sure that, you're always on the defense. You're always in that place where no one will ever do this to me, right? You're in that place where you're thinking, I have to protect myself. No one will ever be able to hurt me. So you don't allow anyone to hurt you, which means you hurt people because you're expecting it, right? You're projecting, so you hurt people. You make people pay for things that they haven't done. And I was a right mess. I was a mess, but people didn't see that, because I covered everything else up, and I had an amazing job. I had several businesses at that time, and I had an amazing job. I was in the fashion world where, everything is amazing. Everything, everyone shows up in their best. You're having so much fun, and then you go home. So yeah, that's what people saw, and no one really knew everything else that was going on. So I went on like that for quite some time. And in that time, I remember I kind of like, just to kind of like explain how bad it was. Oh my gosh, my face is, sorry guys. Yeah, still a bit vain. So at that time, I was going out with this guy, and he was an amazing guy. Amazing, amazing guy. And I remember one time we had a really bad argument, and I wanted, it was in the middle of the night, and I wanted to walk away. Like, I wanted to go out and walk about. And he knew it was in the middle of the night, so he didn't want me to go out. And what he did is, was trying to kind of like hold me back so I don't go. And the more he was holding me back, remember, I have so much frustration and so much anger. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, you're violating my right to do what I want to do. And at that time, I was in such a bad rage that I think everything just went blank. And when I came back to it, he had a few ribs fractured, and I had knocked out some of his teeth, and we had to call the ambulance. He had to go to the hospital. And no one is concerned with your makeup. Speak and heal. All right, then. Okay, twin. So basically, it was so bad, he ended up in hospital. And at that time, I was like, okay, this is really, really, really bad. It was really bad. And I needed to address it, but I didn't know how to address it. Like, the people who were around me at that time, I would say to them, I'm really unhappy. And people thought I was being ungrateful for like everything that I had, because my life was perfect, from the outside. And um, the more I kind of like, was like, there's something going on. I need to address it. The more I tried to speak about it, the more it just people misunderstood me. And I think this is why when people have things like depression, we need to be able, or when people come to us and say, I'm not feeling well and stuff like that, you need to kind of like listen for what is not being said. Because what is not being said is, it's not that they're ungrateful with what they have. It's not like they're not happy with the blessings. What is happening is they are not able to handle the pressure that they have. And it's good to find out, okay, where's the pressure, what's going on, and then find the underlying issue. And I didn't have that, because people are looking at me and they're thinking, what would actually be the issue for you not being happy? Anyway, so um it was really bad, and I started having suicidal thoughts and depression, suicidal thoughts, and I was like, there's no point in being alive. There possibly is no point in being alive, because I was going through hell. Like, waking up was like a nightmare. Being in the house, a nightmare. And you have someone who's asking you, okay, what's going on? Why are you not happy? Or is it something that I've done? You get more frustrated. And one day I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm just gonna commit suicide and end all of this. And at that time where I was kind of like planning everything, I was like, okay, I have to do this properly. I don't want it to not happen. I don't want it to backfire. Um, and I remember like making sure I had rat poison, I had sleeping pills, I had like the whole work, right? And at that time as well, like I thought, okay, I can't live without not saying goodbye to my mom, because I was thinking, shit, my mom, she's this amazing woman. I have at least to explain why I'm doing this. And I'm there trying to write down, oh, I'm so depressed, my life sucks. And I'm thinking, okay, I start thinking about my mom and her strength. And I'm like, my mom had to look after all these kids on her own. And she did an amazing job, like, and she didn't crumble, right? She didn't commit suicide. So I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, I still can't live like this. And I'm thinking, I can't, I just didn't know what to do. So at that moment, I was like, okay, this, suicide is the only way out. And I remember as I was about to actually take the stuff and commit suicide, something happened. And I just had a voice. And this voice said to me, there's so many people going through what you are going through at this moment. You could start an organization that helps women, just have a platform where people can share their story without feeling judged. They can share their story without feeling like, without feeling the pressure of you have to be a certain way. And so that's how Her Story Matters came about, literally. So the next day, you know, one moment I'm thinking, okay, I want to commit suicide. Then the next moment, it's, oh, I have this amazing idea. I'm going to start this. So I always say that Her Story Matters saved me in a way, because it gave me something to channel my energy other than being inward. Because when you go through something like that, your focus is inward. Everything you think is inward. Everything you go through is, everything is inward. Basically, everything is more like, it's about how you feel. It's about what you're thinking. And it was it was bittersweet, because I had found something that I wanted to do, but at the same time I was still where I was, like, okay, so I've got this thing that I can do, and then there's this other side of me that is struggling. And but what I didn't know was that was the beginning of my healing journey. I remember registering the company, and you know, the Almighty works in the most mysterious ways. The first people to work with me were men, right? So I had this group of men who helped me with everything, like the messaging and everything. They helped me get the clarity with the message and everything. And they never judged me, or, they were always very supportive. So that, when I think back about it, I think that that was very unique for me. And I thank God how things went, because I don't know if I would have had so much healing and restoration all the way through, because the judgment didn't come from men, the support came from men. And also, it was very interesting that when I started, when I registered everything, we did the website and everything, I was still very I was still very ashamed of myself. So I remember the organization was going, but no one knew who was doing the organization. That's how crazy it was, right? Like, no one knew who was behind the organization, because I was hiding myself. Um, I was hiding. Sorry, guys, don't worry about the phone. It's just gonna stop ringing. So I was hiding. I was hiding who I was, because I was still ashamed. I had this really beautiful platform, but I was still ashamed of it. You know, I was still ashamed of doing it. And it's very fascinating, because I was doing it, but I was ashamed of doing it. I was ashamed of being part of Her Story Matters when I started it. I didn't want people to know that I was the one doing it. And I remember one day I was thinking to myself, I don't really want to know. Um, I was thinking to myself, I didn't really want to continue doing this. I didn't want to continue having this organization, because I was feeling to myself, why would I be doing this? And the few people that I had shared it with, some of the women were saying to me, why would you do this? There's the UN. Why bother doing something like this? So I had all of these things going on. So I've got shame. I've got other women telling me that, why are you doing this? There's no point in doing this, right? Because they didn't know my story. They didn't know why I was doing it. To them, it was like, oh, this is a good business idea. You think you're going to go into business, right? So no one really knew why I was doing it, other than the core team that I still had, I'm still with until today. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to continue doing this, because what's the point of doing it? And I remember that night I went to sleep, and at 3 a.m., I kid you not, I woke up. I just couldn't sleep. I think I was tossing and turning from around 2 a.m. 3 a.m., I was like, okay, I don't know what's wrong. And I just felt this voice saying to me again, call this particular person. I'm going to call her Anne, because I want to, she's not ready to share her story. So something said to me, call this woman. And I'm thinking, it's 3 a.m. She's in a different country, so she's still going to be asleep. And I'm not sure she's going to be, she's going to be happy about this. And I just called this woman, because I was thinking to myself, well, just call her. If she doesn't pick up, she doesn't pick up, right? So I called her, and she picks up the phone, and I'm surprised. I'm like, okay. So she picks up the phone, but she doesn't say hello. All I hear is she's crying on the phone. And she was crying so much, and she was so distraught. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's going on? I was a bit confused. So I say to her, what's going on? And, she just cried, and I was patient with her. She cried and she cried and she cried. And I was just quiet listening. And then she finally said to me, she finally shared with me that she's in a very abusive relationship, and she was about to commit suicide, y'all. The time that I rang her, she was about to commit suicide. And at that time, she had a really young child. The baby was 3 months, I think. So she had this 3-month-old baby, was in an abusive relationship. She was being raped in the relationship. She was being beaten up. And when I say she's being beaten up, it was so bad she would end up in hospital. It was that bad, right? And and I was listening to her, and she was crying on the phone. And, at that precise moment, she just, because I called her and I listened to her and she had someone to speak to, she didn't commit suicide. Now, that made me realize why I was doing the organization. That, for me, proved to me that I'm in the right track and I should keep doing it, because I still didn't understand what I had. I didn't understand what it was for. And So after that, I thought to myself, okay, I need to make sure that I have to start getting my healing. So I had therapy. So the following years after that, I had, Her Story Matters was registered in 2011. And around 2012, I decided to start having therapy. And so I started having therapy because I had to get over this. I had to find a place where, thank you, Laura. Hi, Wanja, how are you? Sorry, guys. I had to find a place where I would be able to kind of like be myself, open up, and share. And I had therapy, and it was so good. I would suggest to every single person that if you need therapy, go have it. It's one of the best things that happened to me. So I had therapy, and I was getting the healing. And what people don't understand is you know, things like this is twofold. So you go through your healing, but then you still have to rebuild. Now, some people are lucky. Well, I wouldn't say lucky. Some people have it in a way that they get the healing. They have a time where they'll go through the healing, and that's it. And then they have to rebuild. But with me and knowing my lot, right, I had to heal and rebuild at the same time, which was kind of like challenging for some of the people who are coming across me, because on one hand, I was this bubbly person, but then, really capable because I was running an organization. I was, meeting up with government officials, handling big stuff, right? But then on the other hand, I'm still like, going through this thing, going through this healing process, which is you're vulnerable. Sometimes you come out and then sometimes you go back in. Um, Dim your light because you're scared that other people will notice you, and that you'll be the center of attention. And when you're going through stuff like, when you have, like in my case, what happened to me, let me not speak for everyone. What happened to me was, when I got raped and everything, for me it was trust. I didn't trust people. Like, you might be like sent come down with angels and whatever, but I would still not trust you. That's just how it was. And I was always waiting for you. I was always waiting for someone to, come and say, to, show up and say, I was always waiting for people to mess me up. It was always like, okay, I'm just giving you time, I know you're going to mess me up. I'm just going to give you time, I know you're going to mess me up. So that's kind of like how I was with people, which is so weird, right? And so I didn't trust people. I didn't trust myself to make some of the decisions. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust people would do the right thing for me. I didn't I I didn't feel like I was worthy. I didn't feel like I was good enough. I felt like, okay, you're damaged. You've been raped, that's it. Your life is just like, you can't, you can't recover from this. Like, yeah, you might recover, but it's kind of like you're torn, and that's that. So the way I viewed myself, because I didn't value myself, the people who came into my life didn't value me either. They saw what was good, they would take what was good, and um and then just violate. It was like violation all over again. It was a different kind of violation. They would come, see what's good, take what suits them, and then go away. And I was thinking, okay, something needs to change, right? And um I remember thinking to myself, okay, I have to start setting boundaries. And all of you know that when people are used to taking what they want from you, and you being, the way you are, right? um People have an issue with boundaries, right? People have an issue with that. So people started having an issue with boundaries, and then I had to start facing, lots of backlash. Who does she think she is? Gossip arising, people talking. So now I'm feeling like, okay, I have to defend myself. I have no trust, and I'm thinking, okay, people are just out to mess me. I was like really paranoid. I was a paranoid freak at that time, right? I was really, really paranoid. And my relationships were just like, it was crazy at that time. Anyway, so you have no self-esteem, no self-worth, trust is gone, and it's just like everything was non-existent, you know. And for me, I think it's the shame. Shame was the mother. I had to really deal with the shame. And for me, the way I dealt with the shame is I started talking to people about my story, because I was like, you know what, I'm just going to tell you before you find out. So I'm not ashamed of this no more. If you think I'm broken after this, tough. So looking back, I didn't even know that's what I was doing at the time, but that's kind of like what I was doing. I was recovering from the shame by sharing my story. And I'm like, if you don't care, tough, you know, you can walk away. And slowly the people who were genuine kept staying, and they were like, oh wow, this is such an inspiration. And that was really good. And so starting to, you know, you're building and you're healing. And the two were synonymous for me. There are some people who go through healing and then they go through rebuilding. I didn't have that, y'all. I had to be really strong in the day, look really capable in the day, and then in the night be crying my eyes out, right? And in that process, you start trusting the wrong people. Sometimes you trust people who you think are for your good, but then they're not for your good. You're crying. So it looks like this. You go to cry to people you're not supposed to cry to. Like a soldier trusting an adversary. Kind of, it's really weird. And all of those things, and having to really, really deal with every single thing. It was really, really weird. And then you'd have people who'd want to exploit that. So you have people who are like, oh wow, that happened to me too. And this is one of the things, you don't form bonds and relationships based on your brokenness. You just don't do that. It's something that I learned. You can't do that. You know, you can't be friends just because, you know, this happened to me too. It don't work like that. It happened to you. Okay, you're overcoming it. That's good. But, you know, you don't have to be friends. That's something that I learned when I was, you know, putting the boundaries and stuff. So in the whole journey, learning how to rebuild myself, I mean, the healing process looks different to different people. For me, the most fascinating thing that happened is my healing was through different men. They would come into my life for, you know, different reasons, different capacities, not dating, right? They came to my life, different capacities, and that's kind of like how my healing was. Like, it was being restored. My faith in humanity was being restored bit by bit, and for me, that's how it happened. And and because that's, you see, because that's what was happening for me. And it was meant that God was using those relationships to kind of like mend those places that were broken. So another issue broke out, and sadly this was in the church, right? I'm just gonna have to say the truth, because when I was going through counseling, I started going to church and having that relationship with the creator. And I've always been a very intuitive person. I am a seer. Some of you would know that because that's how I function. And the thing is, when I was broken, that gift was not working properly because I was paranoid. So everyone was just, it was, you know, you're functioning from a place that is not healed. So everyone, I was just paranoid about everyone. So it was just like, yeah, I don't like you, I don't like you, I think you're crazy, I think you're weird, I think you're funny, I think you're out to get me. So one of the things that happened to me is, when I started going through the healing, the gift was being restored as it should be. And in the church, obviously, because what people don't know, when you're being restored, people don't see, because people don't know your story. You know, they see you, they think everything's fine, they judge you based on what they see. And I had so many women calling me Jezebel, yo. It was just, it was funny. It was so weird because in the church, that's what God was doing. Everything, people are like, if I show up anywhere, are you married? And I'm thinking, think about this. Like, you're going somewhere, someone is talking to you about marriage, someone is saying that you're there to steal their husband, they're calling you Jezebel, and you're trying to get your healing, man. You're not even thinking about no man, you're not even attracted to them anyway, because you're thinking, I'm just focused on me, right? Rebuilding me. And that's something the church needs to fix, because just because someone is pretty, uses makeup, does not mean they're Jezebel. Just because a man and a woman have a really good relationship does not mean they're Jezebel. So they need to fix that anyway. So that was what was happening to me. So at that time, I'm like, I'm going to church, yo, and I'm hearing like, yo, Jezebel. Um, or women was saying to their husbands, oh, you can't speak, you can't speak to her. It was that bad. And the men would have to call me hiding. They'd be like, don't tell my wife I called you. And it was so weird because as that was happening, God was also using me to be a blessing to them and their marriages. But these wives didn't know that because they were insecure. So we have a lot to fix up in that, what they call house of God. They need to fix that, right? Anyway, so went through the healing and everything. And I always say healing is continuous because we always go through stuff. Every single day we go through stuff. Every single time we're fragile. We have this, we have that. And that's so true, especially when you're single. It's like you're a problem. You're Jezebel because you're single. No discernment at all. It's just like really messed up in church. So what happened was I I going through all of that healing and everything, the restoration, it was really beautiful. I was starting to kind of like love my house again, right? Because remember, when you don't feel, anytime someone says they have low self-esteem, what they're saying is they don't love themselves. I don't care what anyone says. If you have low self-esteem, if you have low self-worth, you do not love yourself. Because if you love yourself, listen, it wouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. It wouldn't matter what anyone else says because you love yourself. You approve of you. And that's another thing. When you don't love yourself, you're looking outside for approval, and that tends to happen. That happened to me a few times, looking outside for approval. And it was really weird because you look at people to approve of who you are, to validate you. And I did go through that for some time. So when I started, when I was, when I started loving myself, because healing is different. You're healed of shame, you're healed of trust, and then the insecurity, that was the mother. That was like learning to love myself again. And learning to love yourself is putting boundaries in place. Learning to love yourself is saying to people, no, I don't want you in my life. You're not good for me. God bless you and goodbye, right? And some people will try to use scripture at you, like, brethren, or you have to walk with people, you have to walk in love. You can love someone, but you don't have to have them around you. And those are things that I learned in the whole process. So going through the healing, going through the whole therapy. And I have to say this, that I've seen something happen in the church so much, and it's people need to fix that. Not everything is deliverance, because we need to come out of that. We really need to. And your pastor is not your therapist. It's not your counselor. Let's stop that mess, right? Let's just stop it. If they haven't gone through psychology and studied all of that, they're not a counselor. They can't do that for you, right? um that's something that you have. I believe that people need to have. It's not everything that you lay hands and oil and try to cast out. It just don't work like that. So it's something else that we need to stop, because sometimes people just need reassurance. They just need to be listened to. They just need to be loved and hugged, and they feel better. They feel stronger. Anyway, so rebuilding for me was so amazing, because I came to know myself again. I came to rediscover the young girl that I was. before that happened to me, and I got to remember the amazing things about myself. And one thing about trauma is this, like, when I went through that rape, because you go through trauma and you suppress so much, what also happens is your creativity is suppressed. So one of the things that I discovered within myself is when, the healing and everything came out, my creativity came back, right? It was so weird. Like, the creativity came back, the music, um, the sketching, the writing, everything started to flow. And this is why it's so good to address different things in our lives. It might not be rape, it might be, low self-esteem, it could be anything. It's really good to address all of those things because it suppresses who you really are. And once you love yourself, once you choose you, because that's what I say to women, especially Black women. It's just like, we have this thing about self-sacrifice. I don't know where it came from. You want to give people the shirt off your back, so you're going to walk naked, right? That is the most harmful thing that I've ever heard. That is the worst thing that you can say to people. That is the worst way you can live your life, because you can't give from an empty, you can't pour from an empty vessel, an empty cup. If you're empty, you're not giving anyone, you're not even making anyone's life better. Trust me, you're not giving any wisdom, you're not giving anything. When you're empty, you empty. You need to fill yourself first. And this is why I say to women, you need to look after yourself. You need to put yourself first. Even when you've got kids, you can't give the best when you're empty. You will give, but it's not the best. You have to keep that in mind. So the healing got me into a place where everything was, I started to see life beautiful again. I started to enjoy life a lot more. I shed out all the toxic people in my life. And I have to say this as well, like, when you're going through that healing process, if you're going through the healing at the same time as the rebuilding, you're going to have people in your life that will not exactly be sensitive to you needing healing, because they're there to rebuild you, right? And you have to identify that everyone who comes in is not for healing. Everyone who comes in is not to listen to your stuff. Everyone who comes in is not there to, people come in at different capacities, and it's something that I had to learn. Like, when I was healing, there's some people who came into my life, they were straight up coaching me, like coaching me for the success, coaching me for the business. And I had to know who to share what parts with, because if someone is coming to coach you and you're telling them about depression and stuff, they are going to be like, you're not ready, right? So you need to be careful. And also, something else is, there's some people who came into my life when I was healing, and their stuff was, and for them it was, they came to my life to help with the healing. So I had to identify who they were, because when the healing was complete, when their job was complete, they took a different role. And you have to be careful as well, because if someone is used to you being in that place of brokenness and then you're healed, they might start dragging you down, because they don't have the capacity to rebuild you. They don't have the capacity to give you what you need for your next season. So you need to be careful about that as well. So I had to learn that too, because there are some people that I was trying to hold on to that their time was up. Honestly, their time was up. There was nothing else you're doing. You're calling me. If I'm happy about, what is going on in my life, and you're not happy about it because you're used to me being broken, they had to go, right? They had to go. They have to get the stepping. And don't feel guilty about it, because there are some people I held on to a bit longer that I should have released, because I was like, oh yeah, you were there for me when, I was down. I have to, you're guilt tripping and you're keeping these people in your life. So I had to be like, you know what? It's been good. Thank you so much for everything you did. I don't owe you. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't owe anyone anything. So it's something that I had to learn as well, to identify who was there to bring the healing and who was there to rebuild. And to know when the time was up. because for some people the time was up, they have to go. For some people, because if you still keep having them there, then what happens is the next person who's there to take you to the next place, you won't be able to identify them because those people are still occupying your time. And another thing that I have to say as well is that was very, very crucial for me in healing and in building myself up was knowing myself. It was spending time alone. Now, when you've gone through rape and you start getting the healing, you start getting people, you can have this tendency of wanting to be around people so much. You start depending on people. And I've seen this happen with people, not just in the capacity of, they went through healing or anything. It is in the capacity of you rely on other people to tell you who you are, and you can't do that. You can't do that. You have to find out who you are. You have to stand in your own power. And that's where solitude comes in. And some people don't like being alone. I had to be alone. There was times I had to be alone for a long time. And when I say being alone, I'm not talking about relationship like man or anything. I'm talking about even friends, even family. I had to be alone because I had to find out who I was. I had to discover it, because you telling me I'm this and me knowing it for myself without needing the validation is two different things. So you need to make time to be away from people and look after you and look within you. The Bible says that the kingdom of God is within us. You will not discover that if you're not spending time in solitude. I'm telling you. You will not discover your gifts, your talents, your abilities. You will not be able to kind of like measure your life. You're not going to be able to see, this is where I was and this is where I want to be, and I'm not here because of this and that, because you're not going to have a therapist all your life. And some things you need to figure out yourself. You need to sit alone in a room and figure out yourself. You need to sit there and figure out yourself. And I had to do that. I had to do that a lot. And sometimes when you do that, some people don't like it. And this is what I'm saying. You have to affirm yourself. It has to be about yourself. Because if you're not whole, even when you get married and you're not whole, that's even worse, because you're going to be expecting this man to bring the wholeness. It doesn't work like that. You need that solitude. And I say, even when you're whole, even when you're healed, even now, I usually have solitude. I have solitude a lot. Like, there are times when you won't catch me on the phone and you're not going to be able to get a hold of me. You will not, because it is me time. I have to evaluate myself. I have to go within. I have to look at what's inside me. What needs to come out? What do I need to develop? No one else is going to do that for me. Even when you have a coach, they're not going to be able to do that for you. Hi, Anya. Oh, why is all you sending love? Thank you so much. You have to figure stuff out for yourself. And this is why we say that, people know so much about other people. We know so much about celebrities. We know so much about pastors. We know so much about other people's lives, but you don't know anything about yourself. You don't know what you really like. Have you ever sat down and thought everything that you believe, where it came from? Do you believe in that stuff because someone said it? Or do you believe in it because you came to that process on your own, unfiltered, right? You have to. There's some people I speak to, or this person said this, or they did this in the news. They can't think for themselves. And they're zombies, right? So you need to know yourself. And solitude is necessary. I do that a lot. I take time out. I fast from people. I fast from things. I fast from gadgets. I go within. I have to discover what is within me. I have to know. And I don't want someone else telling me something about myself that I don't know. I don't want someone saying to me, well, you're really good in this and you don't know. I just don't like that. I want to know it so that when someone says it to me, They're just reaffirming what I already know, who I already am. And the issue with so many women is that we wait for people outside to validate us, and it's not necessary. So I like the whole healing is just one part. Healing is usually the easy part. Let me tell you that. Healing is the easy part. But most people don't go the extra place. They don't go the extra yard where you have to rebuild yourself. People don't do that. People get the healing and that's it. But you have to rebuild yourself. You have to discover what's within you. You have to discover what you can do. What do you like? What do you enjoy doing? Like, why do you eat meat? Why do you not like vegetables? Is it because of how you were when you were younger? Is there a particular reason why you're like that? You have to know yourself. You have to, and when you know yourself, making decisions is a lot easier. Making decisions is a lot because you know yourself. You know you're a true, authentic person. No one is going to force you or guilt trip you or manipulate you to do something that you don't want to do because you know yourself. And one of the things that I found is when when I was going through the healing process, I had to be very careful to guard my space because there are some people, I call them vampires, right? They can see where you are and they can sense what you're going through and they come into your life and they will take, they will drain you and they'll manipulate you, right? So even in the healing process, I had to discover that, right? I had to discover that, look, not everyone is allowed in this space, right? And even when I was rebuilding, not everyone was allowed in that space because as I was rebuilding as me from within, who I am deep down, right? Who I'm discovering who I am, not what anyone else says, not anything else, what I'm discovering for myself. And that was coming out. So right now, if someone says to me something that I don't resonate with, I'll just be like, no, that's not me. And I don't care what you say because if it's not me, it's not me. I don't care what you tell people because it's not me. I know I didn't do that. So it doesn't bother me. And that's why when people say stuff, it bothers people because you don't know yourself. If you know yourself, you really don't give a toss. So I'm going to ask anyone if they want to ask me any questions before I wrap up because I've realized I've been speaking for like 60 minutes. I didn't even sense that. I didn't even see that. I didn't even. Any questions? Any questions before I go to the next bit? Because I'm gonna wrap up soon. I think I've spoken a lot. Is there anything that you want me to go into deeper with regards to my journey? I'm just looking at my notes. I just didn't follow my notes at all. Didn't at all. Just crazy, right? Does anyone have any questions? I'm gonna have a look at my phone as well because there's a delay in seeing the messages. I've just noticed there's a kind of delay on that. Any questions, guys? So can I wrap up? Can I wrap up, guys? Okay. What have I found out about myself? I found out that women are amazing. Every single person is amazing. Every single person is special. Every single person is loved. You might not know that you're loved. You might not sense that you're loved, but you are loved. You might not sense that you're loved because of the perception that you have of yourself, but you are loved. And you are amazing. Okay, Christine, what can you tell your younger self after what you went through? I would tell my younger self, you're gonna make it. I would not change anything within my younger self. I would not change. I mean, I was just amazing when I was younger. I loved myself. I was really outgoing. I mean, Christine, you know this. I've seen Christine. I've seen Wanja. We went to the same high school. You guys know me. I mean, our life was just lit, right? I would not change anything. I would not change going out. I would not change that. I think what I would tell my younger self is it's gonna get tough, but you live through it. Might be a bit weird. You might they might think that you're odd, that you're an odd Bob, and you are, but it's amazing. Just do you. I would tell my younger self that just do you, change nothing. No, I asked a question below. I didn't see it. Sorry. Um, Thank you, twin. You are absolutely amazing, twin. More than just because you are my twin. Oh yeah, of course. Um, my question again: why did you decide to share your story? Oh, that's amazing. So, Lillian, I've always shared my story, and this time I shared this way before because when we started this campaign, the like hashtag one voice. It was supposed to be part of a bigger campaign. So I've written my book and it was supposed to be edited and released, but COVID hit. Everything was pushed, to the back burner. So I felt that I was meant to be telling my story and then have a series of different things and then release my book. I'm sharing my marketing campaign, by the way. And I wanted to do it that way. So most of the story, most of everything would be in my book, but I wanted to come out as part of the hashtag one voice to kind of like share my story. And also because I've been running Her Story Matters since 2011. People who knew me then and along the way to I think around 2016 knew my story. But they didn't really most of the people around that time knew my story. So I've got new people who are my friends and we've got some new followers on Her Story Matters. So I thought instead of writing a blog or something like that, just to really come on and kind of like share it in a different way. So that's why. Question 2. Do you think what happened to you was necessary for your personal growth? It might sound a bit strange, but I feel that it was part of my journey. I don't regret what happened to me because of the beauty that has come out of it. And I think we look at the really dark times in our lives in the wrong way. I think we look at the horrible things that might happen to us in our life. We have a very bad perspective towards what happens. And as a human race, I think some people are changing. I think some women are looking at this differently. We have this assumption that life has to be perfect. We have this assumption that you're supposed to be born, go through this, whatever, and all of that. And I think stuff happens. It happened. Maybe it was necessary for my personal growth. I don't know. But what I know is Her Story Matters would not exist if I didn't go through that. Because there's no way. I mean, at that time, I was just in a different space to even think about empowering women. You have to be kidding me. That was the last thing in the agenda. It was, I was not even thinking about women at that time. I was thinking about partying, going out and living my best life. I was not thinking about destiny. I had businesses. I was not thinking about like having something fulfilling. Like for me, what was fulfilling at that time was doing the job that I wanted, having the money and going out. So I would say like I have a different, I've grown, I have really grown and I have a different perspective with my life. It's just like it's really interesting because it's just life. Life happens, we go through hell. Like people go through stuff and they don't talk about it. I mean, I have, one of the things that I do with Her Story Matters, even though it's Her Story Matters, I have a lot of guys who speak to me about stuff that they've gone through. And there's some men who have been raped as well, and they feel violated. I know. I've spoken to, I've had the most weird experiences, like in terms of, being there for people, walking the journey with people. It's just been the most weirdest experience. Like, I've sat in rooms where I'm looking at the people, I'm like, I don't think I can help you really, because it's just out of this world. It's not stuff that you can imagine. So, for instance, this is what I've been in a room where there was a man who was sleeping with his daughter. The daughter is pregnant, and the woman does not. The mother, the daughter's mom, loves the man. They want to keep it in the family. They want to find healing, reconciliation, and a way to move forward. It's just one of the places that I've been, like, through what I'm doing. I mean, I get the strangest stuff. And then I have the heartbreaking stuff where, you come in and you see a young girl who's been raped, and, people who are being raped and abused by their husbands. So I would say that what happened to me changed the course of my life. It definitely changed the course of my life. I think that's how I was going to look at it. It changed the course of my life because made me, um, it made me see humanity, whilst before I was just seeing myself. I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, I'm more universal now. I love people's stories and everything else. And I guess that was always in there, but it took this tragedy for me, or whatever happened to me, for me to be able to see it. Any other question? Can I come off? Okay, not trying to excuse. Any other questions? Okay, you've all abandoned me. No questions, right? No questions? Okay, I'm just gonna have to look at this because there's a huge delay. Like, uh, oh, hi, Amira. I'm just gonna read some of the messages because I'm seeing it now. Hi, Amira. Someone shared my video and I do resonate with it. I'm a survivor of sexual child abuse and attempted rape. I hope you find comfort and healing in what I've just shared. I really hope that you do. And reach out to me, Amira, if you want to. I can speak to you a bit more if you want, because one of the things I do with Her Story Matters, I know we have, with Her Story Matters, the good thing with it is, and this is why I was saying about the healing and the rebuilding is so important, because I've seen that even with the organization. So as I've evolved, so has the organization. So in the beginning, it was just a platform to share people's stories because that's where I was at. But in 2015, we did so many campaigns, worked with the government. I would not have been able to do that if whatever happened to me didn't happen to me. So, you know, um, um, at the moment, we do women in leadership conferences as well. We empower women to, be leaders, because my passion is also business and leadership. I'm very, I think I was a born lead. I'm a born leader, so I'm very passionate about leadership and empowering people in the areas of leadership and helping them to kind of like get the experiences that they need, and to be where they need to be. And I'm a huge connector as well. So I connect people with coaches and, stuff like that, to be able to help them to grow, because that's kind of like one of my mandates here on earth. It's one of my purposes. And I know it's one of my purposes because I do it effortlessly. And also, we have a magazine. So some people prefer sharing their stories in the magazine, which is fine. And the magazine also features women who are, very empowering, inspiring, very successful. And we love that because we have all sorts of women who are connected to us. Not just people who've gone through social injustice and, gone through all the tough stuff in their life, depression, all of that, but women who've never gone through that. And they want to share their story, share their success, and help other women to get the success. So we do that a lot as well. Okay, so Thanks a million for sharing. Thank you. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Lillian, for tuning in and being here all the way through. Thank you, Floris. You are amazing. Okay, you communicated quite clearly. Thank you. Lillian, thank you. No more questions, as I have not experience with it, but your sharing is great education. Okay. Brilliant. So, to end this, what I want to say to all you women is you're phenomenal. Whether you're watching this now or you're going to watch the replay, and I'm going to ask you to please share this because I think more women need to be free. I think more women need to they need to know their worth. They need to know it's not about what they've gone through. It's about who they are at their core. Um, I mean, if you found a crumpled note, you know, dollar bill or, £5 or whatever currency that you use, if you found it in, even if you found it in the trash, right? If you found money in the rubbish, right, you're gonna pick it up, right? You're gonna go and use it. So how much more us as human beings who are an extension of the creator, all very beautiful expressions of the creator, how much more us who carry the creator's DNA, how much more us, right? We are far more valuable. We are more valuable than rubies and gold. We're more valuable than that. um so nothing should reduce you to anything else. Nothing should really reduce you to feeling like you're worthless, because you are worth it, regardless of what you've gone through, regardless of what people say about you. You are worth it. And if you're going through the solitude, stay strong, right? Really stay strong, because you need to. It's for your own benefit. And you're going to love who you are going to be when you come through. And yeah, and just love you all, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am going to get off here. Yeah, I'm going to get off here now. Please share this video. Share it, please share it. I'm going to keep saying this. Share this video everywhere, so people can see it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am going to go now because I'm feeling kind of tired and I really need to eat. Okay. Yes, we are unique. We are all unique because we are all expressions of the creator. We are all different expressions of the creator. So no one is better than anyone else, because we are all a unique expression of the creator. And we are all worthy. We're all valuable. Thank you, Wanja. Good stuff. Very eye-opening in different areas of our lives. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you all so much for your support. I love you guys. Love you, love you, love you, love you so much. Please share our stuff. Please follow our stuff. Send your pictures in with a female empowerment message so that we can share it, so that more women can be inspired. More women can see your voice. More women can see what you think, because that's what's important. It's not about what I think. It's about what you all think, because it's a collective of voices, right? That's why we say hashtag one voice. Please, please, please share your pictures. And also, let me know what you think. Let me know your story. I'd love to hear your story. For those of you who have never had your stories, I'd love to hear your story. It doesn't have to be of social injustice. It can be, your journey in business, because I love hearing that too. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to be here forever. Love you guys. Mwah. Love you, love you, love you. Love you all. Love you all. Thank you so much for your warmth. And take care.